Hello everyone, welcome to another video of a data analytics journey. So let's see what's there for us in today's video. So here we are going to talk about what is data. Also we are going to talk about what are the sources of data, from where are it coming, and also we are going to talk about the different types of data that we have. Okay, so let's understand each and everything very clearly in today's video. So first of all, what is data? So anything that you come across in a day-to-day life is data. If you switch on your fan, so how many electricity has been consumed, that is the data, right? When you're moving out somewhere to your office, you're booking a cab. So what is the fare of the cab? Okay, how many kilometers it has run? So that is called a data. Yes, whenever you are coming to office and you are having a coffee, so that machine is consuming some electricity for getting that coffee to you. So that is also a data, right? And of course, whenever you run anything on your system, you're saving some data, you're creating some data. So from morning till night, everything that you come across is data. And most importantly, when you talk about your phone, that is also data. Whatever you're streaming, that is your WhatsApp, your Instagram, anything, all these are data. You're posting something on Facebook or Instagram, that is a data. You're delivering some messages on WhatsApp to any of your friends, that is the data, okay? So data is nothing. In short, it can be measurement, it can be facts, it can be observations, it can be numbers, it can be quantities, it can be information, it can be graphs, anything. So these are some very few examples that I've mentioned what is data, correct? Now, let's have a look and see what is a data source. So from the name itself, you can understand that what is the source of this particular data. So it can be anything, right? Source means what? The original point of the data being utilized. That is where that data has come from. That is called a source, right? So it can be created, right? So data source can be initial location where data is born. So I can create the data on my own. That can be a source, or where physical information is first digitized. That means if I'm creating my own data, that is also a data source and the source is me. If I'm not creating, I'm taking it from somewhere, then the third party thing is called the data. This is called the data source where I'm placing that particular data, right? Now, there are basically two types of data sources. So one is me and the other one which I call this as taking it from any third party resources or websites, right? So there are two types of data actually, sources. One is called machine data source, one is called file data source. When I talk about the machine data source, it closely linked to specific machines where they reside. So machine data sources are those sources of data that basically reside on that particular machine only. So they are not habituated to run here and there outside it. They don't flow outside the machine, okay? When I talk about file data source, not confined to a single machine or application. File means what? An Excel is a file, right? A Word is a file, anything is a file. So that Excel or Word file, it's not only constrained to that particular laptop or desktop where you're working. You can save that file and use it somewhere else. You can share it with some other desktop and files also, right? So if you have an Excel file here in this particular laptop, you can save that file and you can transfer this particular file to another laptop as well, correct? So that can be resided here and there. So when I talk about machine data source, they rely on DSN, which is data source name. So because it is a machine, it should have a particular name inside which that particular data is stored. That is called the DSN, okay? When I talk about file data source, they doesn't have any DSN because they're typically in the form of files that are easily transferred and accessed across various devices and systems. So in short, what I can say, machine data source is not easily transferred to any other machines, but file data source can be easily transferred and shareable to many and multiple devices. Yeah? Machine data source is not flexible for sharing or accessing data across different systems or locations, whereas file data source is highly flexible in sharing and accessing data by various users, applications, or systems. So when you talk about an Excel workbook, which is a file data source, that can be accessed by any sort of people, right? If I give them the right to see or to access that particular data inside that particular file, obviously those people can see it. But when I talk about machine data source, they are not that much specific to sharing because it's confined within that particular machine only, right? They are not easily transferable or accessible to other users. So basically machine data source are a bit confined and it's only structured to that particular machine, which is very like traditional way out. But when we talk about file data source, it's much more flexible and it's the modern way out of sharing and resourcing data. Okay. Now let's come to what are the types of data we have. There are two types of data. One is structured, one is unstructured data. Now from the structured and unstructured data, these two names you might wonder. Structured is something that is well organized, right? So the data is organized in a particular table and, column wise store, column and row wise. But when you talk about unstructured data, it is not organized. It is disorganized. You don't know that what the actual data is in the form of a row and column. So it is disorganized and we don't know the actual data what's there inside it. So let's see what are the difference between the two. Firstly, for the structured and unstructured data, structured data can be displayed in rows, columns, and relational database. So relational database will come across in SQL, but let's keep it in such a way. Relational database is nothing but where the data is stored in the form of rows and columns, like in the form of a table-like structure. Yes? But when you talk about unstructured data, cannot be displayed in rows, columns, and relational database. So here the data is completely unstructured. It is not confined under a systematic way. Okay? Secondly, structured data can be numbers, dates, strings, because it is kept in a row and column-like structure, and you know that inside it, the data can be what? Either numbers, either text, or either dates, right? But when I talk about unstructured data, what it can be? Images, audio, video, emails. So images, you can see the image, but you don't know what is the data it is carrying inside it, right? It can be some megahertz, millihertz, or some amount of KB. What is the size of the data? We don't actually know that, right? We just see the image, we just see the audio, we just see the video. But what is there that inculcates inside that particular video or image or audio, we don't know about it, right? Next thing, structured data requires less storage because it is already in a structured format, organized format, so it requires a less storage. But when you talk about unstructured data, it requires more storage because data is scattered. Yeah, it is not confined to a particular space. It's scattered here and there. And when you talk about image or video or audio, we just see the image and the video, right? And you have seen how much a particular video takes a space. A small video also takes some terabyte of data, right? So this is how it requires more storage. So these are the major three differences of structured data and unstructured data. But last but not the least, if we take one more, structured data is very easy to manage and protect the legacy solution. That means what? Because it is in a structured and organized format, so we are able to manage it properly. Yeah, we can maintain the rows and columns, how many rows we want, how many columns we want of that particular data, right? But when we talk about unstructured data, it's more difficult to manage and protect the legacy solution. Because when we talk about rows and columns like structure of data, here we have to protect the data also, right? So data is easily protected through some privacy settings on the files. But when you talk about unstructured data, these files are not, protected by any cost. Because whenever you share a video with someone, an audio with someone, you cannot put a privacy on that, right? Genuinely, we don't have that option for any video or image or audio kind of thing. But for any kind of file structure format, we have those particular data privacy settings, right? So these are the types of data, structured and unstructured. Now, let's have a quick recap of what we have learned in today's video. What is data, correct? And then types of data sources, that is from where this data originates, through machine or through file. Yeah, we create or we take it from somewhere. Now, different types of data. So what are the different types of data we have? Structured and unstructured. And we have come to know that structured data are more organized and they have the legacy of privacy, but whereas unstructured data doesn't have the privacy thing inside them. So that's all for today in today's video. I hope you have liked it. Stay tuned for the next video.